Our sponsors this month are Shropshire Drone Services. If you're looking for aerial video or photography in Shropshire, then they can help you. Go to shropshiredroneservices.co.uk or speak to Matt at 07800 689 209. Whether you're looking for crisp video or perfect photography from anywhere in Shropshire, they can help you. They come highly recommended from the Shrewsbury Biscuit. We asked them for some help with our website, and they delivered crisp, perfect footage of our town in Shrewsbury. That's shropshiredroneservices.co.uk. You will not be disappointed, folks. Right, so we're about to record a great podcast at Frankville. And I'm pretending like Jamie isn't here in the corner. But Verity, you're here.
I'm here, yeah.
Consecutive podcasts we're doing.
I know, exciting. It's actually been a while since that happened, hasn't it?
Yeah. The last podcast we did, we talked about mental health and grief and stuff. It was very important. We had some really good feedback about that, actually.
Yeah, I bet it was wicked.
Yeah, honestly, I was quite proud of that bit of audio.
Very moving people to chat to, wasn't it?
It was a weird one because it was. I'm just trying to heighten my mic. It was very moving. It was a very deep subject to cover, but nobody in that room was nervous. Everybody was kind of just engaged, and it was quite nice. I was quite worried about that.
It was open, it was raw, it was honest, it was good.
And I'm glad I had you there as well, because a bit like what we were talking about, the cancer talk, I can't just walk up to people and go, hi, how is this terrible thing that's happened to you, and drop it into a conversation. It's just not an easy natural thing for anybody to do, is it? So.
I mean, arguably, that is probably not the way to do it.
Yeah, please don't do that, folks.
But yeah, just getting in there.
How was the moonwalk?
Oh man, it wasn't good.
It wasn't good.
It was so good. I'm so pleased I did it. I'm so proud that I did it, and I had such a wicked bunch of friends. We all did it together, but it was so hard. It was literally
harder than the marathon.
Harder than the marathon. No jokes, because you're on your feet for 8 hours. We started at 10:30 at night, walked through London town, finished at 6:30, and the supporters, the marshals, they were incredible. They were so friendly and chirpy, and they stopped the traffic so you could cross the road and all the rest of it, and they had sweets and hot chocolates and bananas. But you didn't walk through any hip and happening parts where you could laugh at some drunken people or anything like that. It was, and you saw all the sights, but it was pitch black as well. But it was so, I was expecting it to be similar to the London Marathon, but it could not have been more.
It does sound like my idea of hell. So you're walking through London at night, in the middle of the night. You haven't had a few beers. You're not going to grab a kebab. And what's the point? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I lost a night's sleep. And that was actually probably the funnest bit of the whole journey, because there were 11 of us all together. The next morning, 6 of them paid again. We already had a train booked for an earlier train, so they could just get home and go to bed. And the rest of us, the other 6, were like, no, I'm not paying another 45 quid, behave, I've already bought my ticket. So we just bumbled around for a few hours. We got some breakfast, we got a coffee, and it was like we were drunken toddlers. We were delirious, because we'd not slept and we'd walked through the night, and that was absolutely funny. I'd do it again just to experience that level of nonsense.
The delirious.
Yeah.
The nausea. I remember last year at Pod Aid when Lincoln Davis turned up. We'd just finished. We'd done a 24-hour podcast. Lincoln Davis turned up, and they were like, hey guys, how's it going?
Were you like,
And I was like, and then we had David Raby over in California, and he was effing this and effing that, and it was like 7. We finished at 9 to me, so it was at 8 o'clock in the morning. And he's like, he's doing the whole David Raby thing. And then Lincoln Davis was like, that's great. And I was just so out of there. But yeah, we need to talk about Pod Aid, because I don't know what I'm going to do about that this year. we need to discuss that between me and you. Okay. Anyway, today's guest, we're going to be talking about LOOPFEST with Jamie. Before we go into this, I want to say thank you to the guys at Albert & Co. Frankwell. Great venues throughout Shrewsbury and Telford. And we're going to talk about the importance of independent local music and the effect they have on the venues. So here's the intro music, and we will catch you guys at the end of this. Here we go. So yes, LOOPFEST. LOOPFEST was such a great event last year, and we couldn't be part of it because festival season is always a bit mad for the Shrewsbury Biscuit. We've got one thing, sometimes we've got two things. The weekends get completely booked up. And I remember having a chat with Jamie about last year, and he's like, "You want?" And I was like, "I can't." So this year, I'd like to get fully involved with LOOPFEST. So I'd like to introduce our guest, Jamie, the organiser. Hello.
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 Are you all right?
Yeah, you good?
Yeah, I'm sort of okay, yeah.
Yeah, you sort of okay.
Yeah, just overcoming a cold.
There's nothing worse, is there? Especially when it starts getting nice, and you're like, "This is just cruel."
We went this kid's like a baby rave, but it was like a jungle style thing, and it was really nice. And you're around lots of kids though, and unfortunately, what happens then is you end up picking up all their germs, which is lovely.
Yeah. Oh, terrible. Baby rave though. That sounds great.
That sounds amazing. I never went to a rave when I was a baby. I doubt. Not that I can remember.
I grew up in Telford. That part of my life wasn't so. Most definitely.
So you probably did.
Yeah. I remember we went to, I think, Rob the Bank when he came on the show. I remember mentioning Geronimo, which is a kids' festival. So imagine like giant like Glastonbury-sized stages, but instead of like the Arctic Monkeys, you're getting like Mr. Tumble.
Yeah, that's crazy. These guys are playing that. I think they've got one of their quotes is on their website is from Rob the Bank.
Yeah?
Yeah, and because they're quite well renowned, these guys, for just being quite silly. It's like drum and bass and jungle kind of music, but with this guy dressed up and just, saying innuendos so that for the parents. So it's actually more about for the parents rather than this sort of in a normal baby rave style, which would be just sort of the same as an adult rave. It's far more orientated towards the children, but then having this sort of intelligent sort of thing going over the top of it. It's great.
Yeah, I like that.
We when we did You Suck, which is a podcast network I used to do, the guys from Jamie and Tom Chronicles of Jamie and Tom, they interviewed a band called Slay Dougie, and they would dress up as furry animal things, and they would just sing kids nursery rhymes but in heavy metal.
Oh, brilliant. That sounds like
And they were really fun guys. So if you're after something like that, heavy metal style with kids songs, Slay Dougie, I recommend them entirely. So I wanted to talk to you about you for a little bit. Like, where do you hail from?
I come from South Shields, which is Tyne and Wear in the northeast of England, and I lived in Barnsley for quite a few years afterwards, and then probably 5 or 6 years ago moved to Shrewsbury.
Hey.
Via Bishop's Castle. So, I saw Bishop's Castle in this like wild side of Shropshire, and then Shrewsbury's a bit more tame.
Yeah, Bishop's Castle is definitely a little bit wild, isn't it? Wild and free.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
How wild and how free? I mean, we need to take the mics there and just sit on the street and just be like, come talk to us.
100%.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I did have an idea for that, because I've got the microphones and the camera now. Of sitting on a bench in town, in the middle of town.
Cooey.
And just be like, come and speak to me.
Yeah. Hello.
How great would that
What
be?
are you doing?
Why Shropshire, though? From the northeast? Why Shropshire? I always ask this.
It always begins with a girl, doesn't it? Or boy. But yeah, so I was going out with somebody, and she was living in Bishop's Castle, and then when I did move to Shrewsbury, because all the work's sort of around this way, we ended up getting involved with the music scene, and sort of I got my foot in the door with Albert Shed, because I've been trying to find a place to play a gig in town, and specifically. It's really hard as an original band. I play in this band called Mighty Vipers, and we play sort of ska reggae, but we were playing across Europe at the time, and it was really great, but I couldn't get a gig in town whatsoever. It was impossible. And
You guys play Superman by Goldfinger. So here I am.
that's the thing, yeah, we don't do covers though, so it's like...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why we couldn't get the gigs, because we're playing the original music.
Well, if you're going to learn one cover song, it's got to be Superman by Goldfinger.
There's a band that plays all of the Tony Hawk's backing track.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's called 1800 or something like that. Yeah, maybe.
If the Or Said band get in touch, that'd be great. Tony Hawk, that game had the best soundtrack of all time.
That was amazing. Yeah.
Is that the skateboard?
Yeah. I was
just impressed with myself for knowing that.
Do you know what really annoyed me actually is that when I was a kid, I'd absolutely destroy anyone at that game. Tony Hawk 2, I think I was better at than the first one. And then they did the re-release, and I had a few beers with my mates and went around the house, and I was awful. I was terrible at it, and I was like, "What is going on?"
Like the fingers.
Yeah, like, what's going on? What a great game. So you get involved with the music scene. When you first come to Shrewsbury, though, I mean, you're a musician. You probably know a few bands from around here. But when you first moved here, what are your initial thoughts with the music scene in Shrewsbury?
Well, I just heard all these great stories about what used to be here. So we used to have this, the cellars used to be full of music, the vaults. Everyone used to say, oh, the vault's the perfect place to go and play a gig. And they'd stop music or doing bands anyway. And then we found that Albert Shed opened up. And that was a really exciting time because it was, so I said, oh, get in touch and see if they want you to book you. And they did. And that was really nice.
I've been to a couple of really, really good gigs at Albert Sheds. We used to Paperwing. Do you know Paperwing?
Oh yeah.
I used to work with them at the prison, and whenever they play, we go and see them. They're great guys. But it's a great. Have you been to Albert Shed much? Have you been to see much live music in Shrewsbury, Verity?
At the Albert Shed, I've been to a few gigs. Yeah,
it's a nice play.
Not recently.
No.
Oh, it's got really hot.
Maybe.
The past few years have been amazing.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, the last 6 months I think is probably the best booking we've done for, and there's a lot of really big stuff happening. But prior to that, you see, when I first went to Albert Shed, I had this terrible PA system. So this is the next thing about Shrewsbury. It's like nobody invested in their PA systems. It was really bad, and so I ended up saying, "Look, I'll buy a better system." With Dave Gregg, who runs the venue.
We've just become acquainted on Facebook. I think we're gonna.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Really supportive of the industry. But I said, "Let's buy this kit, and it'll be great." Exciting it would be to have a really big system that people can use, and we moved from there to this whole how do we keep pushing original artists and providing a platform and using money that's made to then reinvest in the acts.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to bring in good bands, they got to sound sexy, right? Then that's a great investment to make.
Oh yeah, definitely, without a doubt. It's ultimately that's that and the lights, isn't it? You just want you experience and you enjoy that. It isn't just the band playing on the stage; it's the whole experience.
Over the years of doing stuff with the Biscuit, and even as far back as Verity joining the show, we've spoken to some great live acts, some great musicians. Chase and Mallory, probably the most recent band we've spoken to. Great guys they are. When you look at grassroots independent bands, it's almost like you've got an iPad and you're zooming in. The personalities of people that want to go on stage and perform, when you kind of focus on that, it's really interesting, because not everybody can just jump on stage, right? They can't.
No, yeah, I guess there's quite a lot of people who are quite annoying. So, I've done a lot of booking. I book all the Albert Shed acts. I have done for a few years. Dave Gregg was involved quite a lot, and I've just ended up taking over as he's expanded the business. There's a lot of really nice people, but occasionally you get some people who come across and you think, wow, you've just gone right up there. Unbelievable, the arrogance level. And you've got to work with them. It's the way it goes. But it's a tricky one, really. And I've been lucky enough to play with some of my heroes and playing in bands with people that were my heroes.
Who?
There's a band called, the Toasters, which is the ska band from New York. I play bass with them.
Wow.
And
he pretends to know who they are. Wow, great.
Back in the late 80s, early 90s, he created this whole label called Moonscar Records. And from there, that then spurred all the skate punk, Goldfinger, all that kind of stuff was created on the back of this ska movement that this guy had created. It's quite amazing, really. But he was the worst person for years. I used to be like, "Hey, book it. Can you help our band? Can we talk about music, or whatever?" And he'd always just ignore you. And it was for years and years and years. And then one day I got the call to play in the band, so it was quite funny.
Wow.
But it always it was comical because I'd be chasing so excited like a puppy, and then not really getting anywhere. And then one day it just comes, and I think that's the thing. And so, sometimes it takes a long time to really get to know a person, to understand what makes them tick.
I can relate to that, kind of. There's a guy called Ralph Garman who did a podcast called Hollywood Babylon with Kevin Smith. He also does all the other voices on Family Guy. Oh, he's on more Family. He's on so many episodes of Family Guy. It's crazy. And he is like one of the godfathers of podcasts, right? And I used to listen to a show religiously. And you do the right email, "Hey man, you want to come on my podcast?" When you first start, you feel like you're God, never get anything back. But we had a good friend, Graham Arnold. Big shout out to Graham Arnold. And he was like, my friend does this podcast called Thorskin. It's really Thorskin. I don't know how to explain that. I would really love it if you could team up with them and come on the podcast. And he's like, okay. And he came on our podcast. I got to speak to Ralph Garman on my podcast, which is like...
Did he do all the voices?
He did... have I got it? Have I still got it on here? Please say I've got it on here. Right there. He did... he did a thing... Sylvester Stallone. Oh, I wish I had it. Hold on. Please say I've got it. No, I don't think I do. I'll play it for you sometime. What I'll do is I'll drop it in post-edit.
Hey there, it's Ralph Garman, and you're listening to the Thorskin podcast. I think you've made an excellent choice. Because, if you don't listen to these guys, all right, you're like mentally irregular or something, okay? Because they're working hard for you, right? They come out here, they get on the microphones, and they really work hard. And they're out there busting their butts, all right, every day to try to give you a good show, and then you're not listening? You are greedy and lazy, all right? And I think you should really reevaluate how you live in your life, okay? Because it's not how many times you get knocked down, okay? It's how many times you get up again. So get up and listen to Thorskin.
He did this thing of Sylvester Stallone going... if you don't listen to Thorskin, you're greedy and you're lazy. He's going. I'll drop it into the thing, but it's fantastic. I totally relate with you with that. But music locally, has it changed much since you've come here? Have you managed to create anything new?
Oh, I think we've bled a lot. There's like a lot of bleeding going on. Obviously, COVID kicked in, and that was really bad for us. We were just at the point where we were starting to introduce a lot more exciting touring acts to come in, and I guess for anybody. You start off, get your local acts, and it'd be really great to get your local acts supporting big national touring acts. It's like, and it's a really cool thing for them because they're like, oh my God, I get to play with Ginger Wildheart or Space. These are some of the bands that we've got booked for for this sort of season coming up. It's like, but to get to that point, it's been a long and arduous task of like, how do you reach people? How do you get people to come and watch an act? And ultimately, you need more than one or two acts. You need three. You need to make an experience. We did a Ska festival where it was like 5 or 6 bands, and people come out for that, and then when they come together as one big group, it's like, it's amazing because there's enough energy in the room to like make something that people go, wow, that was amazing, and they want to come back and do that again. Whereas trying to do it, we're getting 20, 30 people to come watch an act, and it doesn't pop. It needs to really have an experience that people will walk away and say, yeah, that was just as good as going to watch a covers band or a tribute band. And there's a big battle still about the covers and tributes. And I love our covers and tribute bands. We book Orbit Shed, but I do feel like kind of that it's really hard for an originals band, and it's really cool that some of these cover bands are starting to do originals as well, and actually changing they're actually taking the risk. Even the original bands are doing it. So the cover bands are doing this. Actually going out and playing original tunes now, which is new.
We talked to Chase and Mallory about that, didn't we? About like, how do you find the fine balance of playing your own songs and mixing it up with some covers? Because I guess there is one way to do it, is to it's fine, we can have the shake in the back. We're in a cocktail bar, they're allowed to shake their cocktail. Shake that thing, baby. But yeah, how do you do that? How do you balance things out with creating? Because it mustn't be easy, because you'll be like, oh, play Valerie.
Yeah.
I don't know that one.
I think Chase and Mallory did covers, did they?
No, they played their own music.
Yeah,
didn't they?
and they were quite... They didn't want to do covers.
No.
So I get what you mean.
It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
We have seen... when we're on tour in Europe, and you sometimes have to play, there'd be one band playing, so you play 3 hours with maybe a couple of breaks. And sometimes you need to bring people back in, because you have on your second break, you come back in and people are a bit drunk. They need a lead in to get them excited. So sometimes you play a cover, but it's not always easy. You kind of you might play a set and it's like, we've got 45 minutes, we're going to play all our bangers. It'll be great, and then it'll be like kind of whatever. Play whatever that song is, Mr. Brightside.
Do you know any Oasis?
Well, we were playing in Telford. We hadn't played Telford since this time, and the guy was like, "Can you play Mr. Brightside?" And then Dave was saying, "It's just like." off, and then every single person took it personally in that place, and it was just like just died.
Oh,
no. Like, oh no! Like
did you get them back?
Not at that gig; it was totally gone. I mean, we haven't actually played a gig back at that venue. It's Albert Shed Southport, which is funny because it's one of my venues I work with. But it was just, it's like, Dave, why did you say that? It's like kind of, because you knew it was a cliquey audience, and it wasn't, pointed to that person. It was just like a more, for God's sake.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they were all like working together, and everyone was like, "Well, that was a bit harsh." It was just, oh dear.
I did that a couple of weekends ago. I hosted a Q&A with Dirty Rockin' Scoundrels for Kate Vaughan and her Whiz Kids evening. It was fantastic. We got on stages and things. But as they were playing, I remember walking past on my way to the bar. I was like, "Do you know any Oasis?" As a joke, and he sort of pulled. He's great at kind of driving the audience stuff. He sort of stopped. He's like, "Who said that?" He wanted to single out whoever said that, and I'd already gone. It was quite funny. When it comes to local bands here, how hard is it to find the right bands for the right scene, if that makes sense? Is there enough here to do that?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, the more you do gigs in Shrewsbury, a lot of gigs, Albert Shed, we do loads. We do sort of Wednesday alternative stuff. So we've pigeonholed things onto Wednesdays to be that kind of thing. Then we have, Friday nights with 3 bands, one's an acoustic. So it's suddenly like, you're burning through your acts like quite quickly. And then, we'll also do stuff on like Sundays or whatever. And suddenly you realise that actually the pool is tiny. It's tiny in Shrewsbury. And even like the wider Shropshire or whatever, or West Mids, people won't. It's almost as if it's just a bit too far for people from Birmingham to come across.
Right, yeah.
Or Wolverhampton, we do get people coming from Wolves, but I just think the whole area, it's Shrewsbury's almost like, how Russia is like Moscow's in a particular position, and it's like they couldn't actually get there, like no one could actually attack them back in the day because they would run out of food or whatever for their armies to be able to survive. And that's the reason why it's like that's a geographical issue. So it's like that Shrewsbury, it's just a bit too far for anyone to think, oh, is it really worth getting there? And then people don't even know about it. Some people are like, where's Shropshire? But they live in
I love how you've compared Shrewsbury to World War II Russia.
It'd be panic a bit.
And I was reaching for the dump button. I was like, oh, where's this going? I know what you mean, though. But at the same time, there is also the Welsh border just over there as well. So you got bands from, there are influences from other towns, which we don't mind, of course. But it is all about local bands when you're in your town. Yeah,
well, I think a lot of the bands that we deal with, they are coming from Powys, really, and the sort of the Welsh borders. Fight the Bear, I mean, they're a really good band. You've seen them before? They're great.
They're from Bishop's Castle, right? Yeah, I saw them back in the day.
They should be playing Loopfest this year, but they had to cancel. But yeah, there's loads. I mean, Smoke Like a Fish is one of the ska bands, and they're sort of been around for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And then there's loads of great acts as well, sort of coming up. But it's just, I guess, people. It's almost like, how do the acts find their way in to talk to us? We're like so busy, and then we have this like place online for
cheap mic stands.
Place online for people to submit their artist information, but ultimately, when you're busy and you're like just you become blinkered to all that new information, and it's really hard. There's one day you'll just see an act, you'll be like, wow, they're great, just randomly, like, and then you want to book them, but it's just, I think the mechanism, it's not just me who experiences this. I think anyone who's a booker of lots of acts. I remember speaking to Trademark Blood. Big shout out to a great guy. He's doing Shropshire Music Awards.
Yeah. I love that. This is why I jumped on Loopfest and the Shropshire Music Awards, because I feel like it's so good that so many great local musicians are getting recognition, right? Yeah, and I remember speaking to Trademark Blood, and I was like, oh, what about Chasing August? But are they playing? He was like, are they not playing? I know those lads. They're great. How are Chase? He was like, oh my God, we haven't nominated him for anything. And he panicked. He straight up panicked on the show. He was like, I love those guys. Why have you not nominated him for anything? And that's that oversight, isn't it? There's so much talent. Yeah, you get blinkered. I mean, it's just impossible, really. If you start looking at spreadsheets like I've been doing, there's 125 acts playing Loopfest, and it's just ridiculous. You start thinking, well, how do these even fit together, and who's a band and who's not? And like, your brain almost melts. And there's a lot of bands playing. There's like a lot more than I've ever dealt with. Not just like solo acts. It's like, actual full bands. And that's when it starts to like. And then I was like, but I can't actually find any bands. I got so blind by it. I was just like looking at it, and just like, how many bands are playing? Oh, there's not many at all now.
It's like, like a magic eye type.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying to you about, big ego, those personalities. That's where that was going to go, was logistically dealing with big egos and the logistics of a band with the equipment across a whole town, across multiple venues. How? Yeah. Why?
Oh, it's very different though of LOOPFEST the way it works. But I mean, ultimately, I don't book acts again. So most of these acts who are playing are ones I've met and know they're good people. So I've just I block off anybody else. I haven't got time for it. There's a load of great bands out there, and if there's an ego, I'm too tired to be bothered with it. So basically, the acts are all really cool, and they all know me. We have WhatsApp chats between every single act, so everyone's involved in the process. We're supplying every single venue with all of the equipment needed, bar their instruments themselves, so all the amps or whatever and all that kind of stuff are all going to be fixed. And so people can bring in their guitar amps if they want. But I mean, if you saw how busy the roads were last year, it was impossible. So you couldn't get anywhere. And like walking from, let's say, Frankwell car park all the way into town with a big Fender amp is just like a no. So we actually are sponsored by Orange Amplifiers, which is really great. But
really?
Yeah, but it's sort of buying based sponsorship. So we get cost price from them, so it's really cheap, but we just haven't got any money. So technically, if it'd be like the perfect deal ever, like if someone just give me loads of money, we just buy everything for the price of what it would actually cost them to make. So it's like
there's something to, I mean, like if you could put up posters and saying sponsored by Orange, I mean that might not Orange amps, because say that would be, I didn't want to confuse it with the phone company, but that adds a bit of prestige to it, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. We've got a few good sponsors. I mean, Molson Coors, which is like kind of it's like a blue chip company. They're a sponsor.
Nice.
So that's and they're big, and they're supporting us doing what we're going to do at the castle, which is
right. Okay, so
story.
Let's get into how you came up with the idea for LOOPFEST. I mean, you say you started working it with Albert Shed and trying to transform things. Shrewsbury is a party town, isn't it? There's lots of festivals, lots of events throughout the year. What makes you think I need to do something like this?
Well, there's different stories depending who you talk to, but me and Dave, so Dave's the guy from Albert Shed, we noticed there's quite a lot of events that were happening in the quarry.
Do you want your coffee, by the way?
Oh yeah, that'd be great, thanks. So we noticed there was quite a lot of stuff going on in the quarry, and we'd have like quiet time, and then it'd get busy. I mean, this is just a thing of if I think probably more than anything is that it would be quiet in town for many places if they didn't have a specific night on, and then it'd get really busy later. So the nighttime economy were feeling one thing, but for me, my experience was that there was an event the mayor was going to put on, which is a couple of years ago. It must have been just after COVID happened, and they put this event on, or planned it, and then they pulled out last minute. And I'd already got all my bookings and made like this whole days worth of quite expensive entertainment, because I was like, let's make sure that the town's going to have lots of great music on. It'll be happening throughout the town. So let's make sure Albert Shed is the key place for that kind of thing. And then they cancelled it. So then nobody turned up.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And so I was like, right, well, one, I think we probably could get people behind us because, people do want a town centre event. And two, is that what I don't want is somebody else coming up with this idea and then not doing it, and or not informing us properly. And it's obviously from a goodwill point of view that person chose to do that thing, but I think they chickened out because of COVID. Like they're still thinking, is it still acceptable?
It was a difficult time for a lot of people to plan anything that time. I remember lots of people lost lots of money, and there's lots of uncertainty.
It's just I think the thing is, it's like if you're going to commit to it, you commit to it, and you'd obviously made that decision that was post-COVID to do this, and so I think just being informed about it would have been great, because we didn't find out about it until I said, oh, what's happening this? Was it happening this week? And they were like, what? No, it's been cancelled.
Did you not hear?
Yeah, so it was a lot of money we lost actually. But that's what happens when you're trying to support the scene.
How do you recruit that? Do you make more on another event, and then it's a bit like gambling? You kind of like put that back where you lost it before.
Well, I don't know. It's Albert Shed, isn't it? I mean, we've always been supporting the scene, and that's why it works, because we have backed people for a long time, and pushing the original agenda. So I think you win some, you lose some in that respect. But ultimately, what that brand is about pushing original music, and or not just original music, but just being the people who are there for the act. We're not trying to rip people off, we're not trying to get people down at cheap prices. It's just that unfortunately some things like that happen. You can't control it.
Well, we were talking before. I've talked many times actually about what local bands and events like yours, but even when there isn't an event like LOOPFEST or something going on in the quarry or anything like what local bands do for a local economy is actually really understated. I feel like there's so much that local bands do when they gig around and they go from one pub to another. The amount of money they generate at the bar is incredible. That it's just something that people don't talk about enough. Like I said, the Arctic Monkeys aren't going to come and play in Shrewsbury, are they? So we need those local bands going around and creating that economy we need.
I just love the fact that local bands will actually put loads of effort into the promotions. They go really out there, and that's what's great. It's like that's what I want to see. Really, it's just it justifies the quality of sorry.
You right?
Yeah, it's just I think it's the dog's making funny noises. It's got I'm picking up everything in those headphones.
It could well be the dog.
Have I got you up really high? Hold on, you are on number 2. So let me bring you down a bit. Is that a bit better?
Yeah, it's better. Yeah, I feel like I was listening to someone's conversation over there. It's just oh really? Did they?
Yeah. So this mixer has individual volumes for the headphones. So I'll just turn you on.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Okay, so year 1.
Yeah.
Year 1 of LOOPFEST. Take us through year 1. What was that like?
Which was when? Was that last year?
Last year. It was in Saturday the 17th of September. So it was. It wasn't that long ago. And I should have maybe actually had a full year so I could recover, because I still feel like I've got some sort of a shell shock because I did it all on my own, apart from on the day. But everything else, the planning, the booking, the website building, all of the putting up all of the promotional material, it was just literally just me in my spare time. Which is, and we broke full records in town, and we only had £2,000 to do the whole thing, including all of the equipment and everything, which is ridiculous amounts of.
After speaking to you, and I did feel really bad that we couldn't cover it. The event, I felt really proud of you actually when I saw those records. Broken the footfall record in town.
It was
in history.
Yeah, for that time of year, yeah, it was but it was significant because it was even pre-COVID as well. So it was, and then all the venues.
How did you get them figures? How do you know?
What's that? Oh, they do footfall ratings. They've got cameras in town.
Oh, of course they do.
One on Pride.
Clever.
Yeah, one on Pride Hill, I think, and one on the High Street. Yeah.
Wow.
So they work out how many people are walking up and down the streets.
It was 8% higher or something like that than standard.
I feel like I remember when Wild Cop turned into Wild Cop. I don't know if you remember that. They put wild they were just giant wild animals all up Wild Cop.
Yeah.
And that increased the footfall on Wild Cop immensely. And that was due to COVID. I think they just they widened the streets by pushing animals out into the road, and then they made everyone drive through town walls, I think, so that everybody could sparsely walk out. And I feel that's right. If not, forgive me, but something simple like that can increase footfall. People come to look at the animals, spend more in the shops.
It's nice, isn't it? It's it's good to have these different things, because if you spend time in any cities or whatever, there's loads of stuff going on. Shrewsbury just really does struggle with you being. I come from different places and I see how different towns act, and it's very sleepy sometimes, and it's really difficult. What we're doing, there's nothing on again. It's very orientated towards certain age groups. There's not that many alternative theatre setups. It's just the Theatre 7's great and I love it, but it is they're doing the generic theatre stuff. It'd be nice if there was some good alternative places.
Well, this is why I love Albert Shed, and I feel like if Albert Shed were to open something similar to the O2 Institute, for example, something where it is live music and gig orientated, where you can do concerts and stuff, I feel like it's so influential in town.
Oh yeah, it's great. I mean, that's why we're and what we're missing in town as well, or anywhere, is really a 300 plus to 500 capacity venue.
Yeah.
There's not many. They're like mid-sized venue. Even that's quite small for a mid-sized venue, right? But what's important about them places is that then you can get them the developing bands, the ones that have already sort of made it, but they're just everyone that catches on. And you're like, Albert Shed's like 200 capacity. Anything more than that you can't really view the acts properly.
As much as I love the butter market, and I do love the butter market, it's even that's quite small.
It's a barn though, isn't it? The one upstairs.
Yeah.
It's like it's the cellars downstairs. I think it's got the small side of it, and then the one upstairs is the barn, isn't it? It's like,
but even that's not massive. I mean, I've been to see gigs at.
What's the capacity of it? I don't
know. We went to Chasing Mallory when they were I Assassin. We went to watch I Assassin at the butter market, and I remember sitting there thinking, how many people are going to fit in this room? It's not that big. I mean, you can go up on them.
I think it's quite high, isn't it? I'm sure that it's not like a couple of thousand or something like that.
I don't know. Maybe upstairs because it kind of goes up in there, doesn't it? But I don't know. But
never been in.
Yeah, it's good. It is a good venue.
Go in there.
The cellar bit reminds me of the Cavern in Liverpool. It's quite nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got those kind of little nooks. That
went to watch the Drifters at the Bottomatic years ago.
Did you?
It's really fun. Nice. Yeah, it's worth going.
Yeah,
check
definitely.
It out. They only do events there now.
Bongos, bingo, or whatever it is. It's great.
Yeah, they do have some. It's like the bongos, bingos. They don't have the nightclub anymore, do they? No. But I heard they used to do like all these like old school. It was the guys, 31 Days. Remember that was a zine. That basically, it was all the way around like Shropshire, and I think they dropped out after COVID, or just their last publication was the one before COVID happened. But they used to put all these like massive reggae guys down, and like it was like really weird. It's like how big that was. It was like some guys from like the countryside just putting like this mad. So Shrewsbury had like this massive reggae scene at one point.
I think you can do anything in this town. I feel like there are ways of reconfiguring this town without damaging historic buildings and stuff. And this isn't me shouting saying, "Oh, there's so many things wrong with Shrewsbury." I love Shrewsbury, but when it comes to live music, we've spoken about this before. I feel like you're right. We do need a bigger venue. I mean, there's the whole thing at the old post office. There's that building they've got there.
It's great, isn't it?
It's a great space. That is.
I've just been on a UK tour with that band, the Toasters, and it's weird that sometimes I think it's just Shrewsbury because it's quite hemmed in by the loop. You do have this issue where normally be like, oh, this random building, like that doesn't look that big, and you go inside, it's like a 2,000 capacity church venue or something like in a really weird like building. You'd be like, how's that there? And I think it probably is them buildings, just that they're a little bit out of town, and people haven't really tried to explore the idea that you could be out of town and have an out of town venue and be successful.
I gotta say though, we went to the steampunk event that was at St Mary's a few weeks ago, and they had a rock band later on in the evening there, and oh my god, do they wail inside that building? It's so the acoustic. I always used to think, church acoustics of a rock band, it'd just be like but it wasn't. It was so powerful.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I felt
really?
it. Yeah, it was really good actually.
Yeah.
Big shout out to them. So year one, what kind of venues did you have, and what kind of feedback did you get from them?
I think everything was really good, apart from the one. We'll talk about that one because it's the funny one. So yeah, we had like I wanted it to be LOOPFEST to be beyond just having pubs. So I wanted to get some small cafes and stuff like that, or like in good hands. Really,
HMV play live music as well now.
Oh, they do, yeah. HMV, yeah. We're talking to them. But then we were like, oh, well, what about in the mall? So we thought, oh, yeah, that'd be great. There's a record shop in the mall. So we decided to put something downstairs. But we didn't realise is the guy who I put on, and he was awesome, by the way, but he did totally scare all of the people who were there. It was just like Mad Spanner, which is like kind of playing bass, but playing like metal song. And it was like downstairs, and there's like some granny walking past or whatever, and he's like kind of like, like rocking right in her face. So it was, it's quite a spectacle but to behold, but I think... Yeah, it was maybe not the right thing for the right place. So now they're playing the Mad Spanner's going to be open in the York this year, which is more suitable.
Yeah, sounds more appropriate.
And how much, when it comes to the venue, because you talk about Mad Spanner down in the mall, how much research do you put into the bands to know what fits right where? Do you know what I mean?
Everything's really well tailored. I mean, apart from that one option there, it's one of them where it's like, because I just thought he was playing on the acoustic bass, because I know he plays bass. I didn't realise it was actually with a backing track and stuff. But, because I've booked pretty much every band, apart from never booked him as just a soloist. So it's like, there's a lot of planning, and it's really difficult to actually try and work out what fits where. And it's been really hard this year because we've got less cover bands. And so, you kind of think, well, that venue there is traditionally a cover band place. So what can I put in that would be suitable? in their style, but with an original band instead.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And that's when you start getting into these sort of like difficulties. And you get I always thought about St Mary's as being the ethereal place that would be quite really open and but it's interesting to hear that you can actually get away with doing like quite heavy rock. And it works. It's interesting.
Is that because you've spoken to them? They said, "Oh, not for us," or you've not thought of speaking to them?
Oh, I just wanted to have like crazy lights, and because we used St Mary's last year, I don't want to have like a really nice big system, but then having it like electronic and sort of like like a big lighting rig going off in there, just so it felt like really made the best use of the space, because it's got a tall ceiling, isn't it? So it's like people would be in there. You don't have to be off your face to like kind of appreciate the the beauty.
Andy McEwen would have been great to speak to.
Hey,
Andy McEwen. He's a
yeah. I still would like to talk to that chap actually.
He's a very nice guy. In fact, we need to do a catch up with him. I remember I went to his studio to do an interview. And we sat and we spoke for an hour before we even hit record. I was like, "What does this do?" He was like, "He told me, what does that do?" I was like, "It's like a spaceship." His studio is amazing. For somebody that loves audio, I walked in. I was like, oh, "He's got everything."
Yeah,
everything. Nice. If you like audio and you like different mixes and what they do, it was so good. We'll have to hook you up.
I feel it would be. Cause I've blagged so many people these past years.
You've got to.
But I got to the point where I'm like, right, there's got to be some people that you don't blag and you just treat them like you're a professional. I'd like to do this thing. So I was sort of waiting for the moment that the grant bids start coming in, or at least I can.
Tell me about that.
Classic. I basically LOOPFEST is this year. I had this plan for ages. It was like, I'll get this thing done at this date and this thing done at this date, and it'll be perfect. And I'll get my Arts Council grant in. Anyway, so I'd find out if I get it or not 2 weeks before LOOPFEST.
Oh, wow.
That's so
cutting it fine.
Well, so I'm hedging a lot of things at the moment on there, and it wouldn't have been like that if I hadn't been messed around, which I'm sure we'll probably get to at some point.
I'm going to see if I can get a pint from them.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Duncan.
Excuse me.
Duncan.
Can I get a pint of your best beer? Lager for now, please enjoy. Okay, they're going to bring. I will pay, by the way.
Get a pint of Loom as well, please.
Would you like a drink?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
I'm getting a flagon of ale. I just fancied a pint. I feel like there are so many things you've got to do sometimes to make things happen, and without grants and without the odd favour and here and there and people that can collaborate with you, things like this wouldn't happen. They just wouldn't.
Well, I guess last year I had the favour of a lot of acts that I'd booked and try and help. I have been helping for quite a long time. Now, asking the same again this year would actually be quite, I feel it'd be a bit rude not providing some sort of benefit. So I kind of put this price on of per act, this is what I'm going to pay each act. And so that puts you under a lot of pressure, because suddenly you've got all the costs of running each venue, which is going to be, every venue might cost £400-500 when you include all of the equipment. From that, and then moving from that to then paying each band. So now you're getting into really high figures per venue, and then we're adding more and more venues. So suddenly you've got 25 venues, and you've got to pay maybe £800 a venue, something like that. So
wow, yeah,
big money.
Yeah,
got a dog hair between my legs.
Yeah. Pooches and podcasts.
Not that he's needy or anything.
He's sniffing my balls though.
Thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. I feel like we didn't get our lottery funding for the biscuit, which was really heartbreaking for me, because I wanted to. It's not necessarily a venue. I want to grow very quickly and put lots of money into building an infrastructure that could make the podcast sustainable. That's what I wanted to do, and with a bit of help from the fund, and we didn't get it. And it was one of the most heartbreaking things that ever happened to me. I feel it was horrible.
It's really sad.
I was devastated, absolutely devastated.
Can I tell you about my sort of vision? Right, is that I got into this idea of LOOPFEST through two things. One was this big festival in Sheffield. People might know it's called Tramlines Festival. It was big, right? And Tramlines Festival, when I was living in Shropshire at the time, it was growing phenomenally every year. And what they were doing is they're having events in the street, and then they had an outside bit as well that eventually had big acts playing. And they used that money, then they grant money, and they started reinvesting back into all of their artists and all of their venues. And I thought, that's great. They're actually putting the money they made back into the community, you know. And that's why I kind of feel like with Shrewsbury, it'd be really nice to be able to build LOOPFEST to the point of where we've got money coming in, and then we can use that sponsorship money or whatever to then refund projects, you know. And so actually turning it from being just an event that happens in the town to being a community-based organisation. So LOOPFEST in the community CIC is it's a community interest partnership, and so it's is it community interest?
Community interest company.
Yeah, but same sort of thing, you know.
We're a CIC too, yeah.
And it's like you know, it's sort of best of both worlds, isn't it? It's not a full charity setup, but I do want to try and make profit where we can actually then reinvest into the things that we're trying to promote. Because that'd be really great, wouldn't it? Because to like fund a bunch of things like, let's say, getting kids to learn how to use digital equipment, like you know, synthesizers and getting synthesis, no matter what age.
Do you want a junior battle of the bands or something, and then the prize being they can headline at Loop? Do you know what I mean? Like, so you can develop your.
Oh, I don't do battle of the bands though.
No, do you not?
Yeah, I've got like. I've got principles. I think there's a lot of things like that, same as like pay to play and all that, and that's the reason why I don't like the idea of LOOPFEST not giving people the money they deserve to get for what they do. So it's, you know, Battle of the Bands is another thing where it's just, I feel it's really, really easy to sort of get to that point where take advantage where you just be like, oh, you all play, and the one thing you get's that thing at the end, but we've made loads of money as a bar or whatever, or we got loads of, you know, exposure where, you know, I'd prefer it if everybody got something out of it, like everyone got to play, but then the winner got a speedboat. Now that would be much better because everyone gets to play a LOOPFEST at the end of it. But then, like, you know, that someone gets a speedboat, I feel that's a better justifiable.
So would you consider the first year of LOOPFEST a success then?
There's definitely some successes in there. Yeah, there's loads of failures as well. But you know,
and let's talk about those failures because that's what I was going to lead on to. What did you learn?
What did I learn? Yeah. Well, I learned that you can't rely on your friends.
Yes.
So yeah,
that's a sad lesson to learn.
I know.
At any day.
I kind of just knew that, like, you know, some people would be late and some people would be like, no. They're not going to let me down on this one. It'll be fine. So that was a bit of a pain in the ass because we were late with everything, but we got back on track. And then people did come and help, you know, and they were there till the end and they were supportive. But what else did we learn? We also learned that we need more volunteers. We're desperate for volunteers. We still are this year. We've got a bunch of cool people really wanting to get involved in everything. But
did you get a bit overwhelmed last year? Like, you go, well, this will be enough people. And then you're like, oh my God, back to the walls.
It was more to do with the fact that I was playing here at Frankville at 8 o'clock. So I had to then, we had one guy who was engineering. He was finishing his bands up and then having to get all his equipment across. He was the keyboard player in the band I was playing in. And then I had to like pull equipment out of 2 separate venues. So I was basically ripping stuff out, driving across, and then it was all the right mess. So, because it was just, you know, I was the only person really who knew what the full plan was because I hadn't had enough people that I trusted to be like the next, you know, the people down who could deal with it. Because it's like, you know, ultimately, if it's in your head, you'd be like, this needs to happen then, that needs to happen then. But if not, it falls on my head if it doesn't get managed, you know. That's
a very tough lesson to learn. I remember Pod Aid, I was kind of like, right, I've set everything up, let's go. And everybody was kind of like, what does this do? How do I get that to do this? What does this? And I had to sit down and show everybody what button does what and how we can work together so I can step off and go to the loo and what have you and leave them to it. And it's the same with Verity as well, because Verity is going to be going to Camp Festival. And I'm going to be like, here's equipment, use it.
Oh, you're going to Camp Festival? Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
We'll be there playing a gig.
Oh, will you?
Yeah. You'll have to come see us.
Yeah, definitely, I will do.
Nice.
You'll know how to use all this stuff.
Yeah. Well, you know,
have to show me.
Well,
I'm going to give Verity a very easy to use camera.
Yeah.
And the microphones that go with it. You just literally clip it in and turn them on.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you a Zoom H6, which is just a microwave hit recording. Go. The one like the handheld.
I've had that one.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm basically best friends with that microphone. I got it.
Yeah. So I'm going to just... what I'm saying is it's really hard to be like, this is my baby, only I know how to use it, I'm going to teach you how to. You've got to bring people in, haven't you? You've got to learn to do that.
Oh, definitely. That's the thing, isn't it? I mean, this year, we've definitely been excited the fact that we are building the team out. And it's lonely otherwise, you know? I mean, I don't know how many years you were doing what you've been doing on your own, but when you haven't got somebody there, it's like, you've got no one to ask the question, is this the right thing? So you're just basically making the mistake and then just going like, oh yeah, well that was wrong, change the direction, you know?
I love having, because like we've had other people co-host with the Biscuit, but Verity will just tell me as it is, which is great. But she's also like a very, very supportive person.
Yeah.
So I'll be like, oh my God, I've just done this thing. I can't believe it's awful. And Verity be like, listen, mate, it's not that bad. You get out your own head. Like, you're very good at that.
Yeah, I'm not a panicker. I don't incite panic.
No.
I'm not for it.
It's good to have a team around you.
Oh, yeah.
So what's the difference this year in personnel?
We've got a really great sort of team, some of the people who helped us out last year. So knowing them people and knowing that there's just a couple of guys who just, I didn't know them. They just pulled it out of the bag, and I was like running around like hell's chicken. They were just like the calm one. And then there's times where you kind of like added someone else, and they just seem to know intrinsically, or they've got experience. So it's so we are building a nice team, and they all back the same concept, which is that we're all working together to try and build this community event. Yeah. I mean, on top of that, I think because we're not just doing music, but we're also doing other things such as craft workshops and stuff like this.
Oh, tell me about that.
Oh, yeah. So it's a bit wild. This is where it gets wild.
Wild is great. We like wild.
Yeah. All right, the Metamorphosis Project.
The Metamorphosis Project.
Yeah. So basically, I want to... Originally, the plan for LOOPFEST was never just to be music. It was to be music, arts, and everything, living history. And I wanted to build all that out. And the way we're going
podcasts?
Do that would be a podcast. Yeah.
Welcome to the...
It's the kind of, it should be about everything that's like involved in the town. And so what I realised was that the easiest way to get going with this was to build in this concept of like, let's butterflies and bees. It's really cool. It's the right time of year. We can like kind of, run a bunch of projects for kids around this, which we'll be doing at Shrewsbury Library from the 10th of June. I think it's the 10th.
Which is the Saturday. So what's the date of this then, Jamie?
God, yeah, so...
Dates
you can find all that information on the website.
Yeah.
No, but basically, I think I'm pretty sure it's the 10th of... From the 10th of June, and every Saturday afterwards until LOOPFEST, between 10 and 1 o'clock, we've got these different kids' workshops that are happening at the Shrewsbury Library.
How I just saw your mind put that together and just communicate that down a microphone was quite the metamorphosis. Wait, I saw that. That was really good. You constructed that really well. That's really good, though, because you're breaking down the barriers of just... culture being just music, because it's not. It's
and there's kids involved as well, because like we're an inclusive festival, right? So we want it to be, and this is why it's great that we've got the castle, which I'm sure we'll get onto. Mm-hmm. But I've been trying to get this outside space, and one of the reasons is because I want to have a place that kids can get into without the parents, because most of them are pubs. Pubs don't like to have kids. It's something about the licensing. It's not a cool thing. Also, there's a lot of venues got really busy at LOOPFEST last year, like packed out, and you couldn't get in there, and so to think that... I
was actually in town last year when LOOPFEST was on, and there were some places that we were in and we had to go, oh God, we've got to leave.
Yeah.
More people are coming in, we're squished here.
It was, it's horrible when you haven't got enough space, so I was dead keen to have enough extra venues and also an outside space. Having the castle grounds gives us an extra 500 capacity, but also I just feel that, if it's not even just like a physical disability or whatever, or like a wheelchair or something like that, but if you've got like some people who don't like, there's a lot of anxious people these days, and people don't like being in that space. I don't like being in a big tight space, so it'd be nice to have an open space that people can feel they can enjoy the festival. And so it's always been like that, right? We've always wanted to have this really open and inclusive event, and so it makes sense that we start with what kids events we could do, and it'd be great if we could do more free stuff, because I do really want this free stuff, right? Which is, I'm gonna have to pay for it. I'm gonna have to find money to pay for it somewhere. But wouldn't it be great if we could do more projects and there was more money available to support free things, which means that it doesn't matter how much money your family's got, because Shrewsbury has got lots of people with lots of money. And then there's lots of people as well who've not got a lot of money at all.
Yeah, it's good.
And we should be, there should be more stuff that's open there.
Let's talk about the castle and the venues that you've got this year. Have you kind of pulled all the stops out this year? What are you improving on with venues? What's been your goal?
Just more venues, I guess. The outside venue was the one. And so it was just unfortunate that when we made our booking, so we had this choice, right? We could either take the square, or choosing the date for LOOPFEST's 2023 was either we choose the square or we had St Mary's and also the castle. And this wasn't choice. It was basically we couldn't match 3 places up together, so we had the choice between the 2. And so we ended up going, oh, well, the square would be great, but ultimately that would just be an information board place, whereas if we chose somewhere like the castle, it would be an outside space we could put an event on, so that made more sense. And also St Mary's would be another great place we could do really ethereal things with. Unfortunately, we got double booked for St Mary's.
Oh.
Yeah, and the guy who double booked us, I think there's him and then there's another person who maybe works on multiple churches, whereas that person works at the one church, and it was like, oh, it's never going to happen. So we lost that.
Is it Rob? Rob.
It might have been Rob. Yeah,
He's a good guy.
Yeah, no, he's awesome chap. Really lovely guy, really supportive, but it was just really bad timing. And then there was an event on in October after we'd provisionally booked the castle. Event in October, and I think for some reason that event happened and it was over a month, and then after that when I went to inquire about the price had gone up quite a lot, and so I was yeah, so I was asking the question like, well, hang on a second, what's going on here? How come we can't get access to this? Why is it so expensive? It was like £4,000 to use it for one day, which is getting in and out. We needed to get in and out of the venue, so it was like. The get in the day before, get out the day after. It was a lot of money.
Yeah,
like
£1,200.
Well, it's
12,000. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. It was four over the whole thing. It was £4,000, which is £4,000 a lot of money. When before it was a lot cheaper than that. Like literally last year, I worked out that if that big event had been running for a whole month, it would cost them £32,000, which is a lot of money. So it didn't cost them that. They only got some. So basically, I was outpriced, and I thought I'd lost it. And then I went back to them and said, hang on a second, come on.
Give us a...
Be fair.
Yeah. Well, actually, I made the provisional book. I made the booking before the price had gone up, so surely that should be reflective. And then they came back saying, oh, actually, we have made some adjustments in April or whatever, and we made a decision that actually we can give you it for less, which would be like 2,000, just over 2,000. So it's almost affordable. I mean, I wouldn't say it was affordable at all, but because we've got the sponsor of Molson Coors.
Will you be making any profit on this?
What's that? Well, I'm set to lose about, until I find out the other day, because literally I thought I'm going to have to just start
going with it,
and like just basically saying, someone please help, because I was going to lose, I was probably in about £4,000 loss, and there was no profit makers at all in my system then, because I'd already hedged everything on these different things, and then every single one of them had been pulled away. And then the day before yesterday, they came back with this revised quote. So the castle's back on.
Yeah.
So then potentially might be able to get a sponsor who will kind of sponsor that space, because nobody wants a sponsor with no space. They want to sponsor a space. So we might get a sponsor, and then suddenly we might actually be able to afford the street performances, which we wanted to put. I've got Arts Council grants in for the international street performance event that used to happen. Well, I was planning on doing all that kind of stuff as well. So it'd be like outside on the streets, like amazing performers. And I was hoping that was going to happen, but then, without having extra money coming in, you can't take the risk. So I'm happy to take the risk now, because I know that...
Well, it used to be the big busk that used to happen here, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was a huge event.
Yeah.
People like stuff like that. It's nice. And, we had the... Beth Heath, she put on the Mile of Smiles, which was great, because it was in the quarry, but it run all the way through town as well. Very similar to what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
And it worked really, really well. So when I see something like LOOPFEST using venues in a row or scattered across the town, I saw, wow, this is going to work, because I've seen it work before.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think the thing is as well, it's, there's no reason why it can't work. The only reason why it can't is because the barriers that might be put in place. I mean, I started working on this year as soon as LOOPFEST finished in September, and the barriers I've hit, and I'd imagine that's what put people off. It's really, really hard. Yeah, it's like, and I can't blame anyone in the council. They've got other things they've got to do, but it has been a lot of blockages. And so then when I was like, oh, well, actually, I could see there's an event being cancelled at the quarry, I was like, well, maybe we could get in this year, and maybe that would be the alternative. So I started, after we couldn't get the castle, I've started checking out the quarry, and ultimately you can't beat the council. The council will make a decision, and it's it's written in their contract that it doesn't matter if you're right or not. There's no point even trying to continue down that path, because ultimately it says in their the small print inside their plan, their policy is that it's ultimately their decision. So you could be right on every count, but there's no point actually going into war mode because they could just say no. That's it. So you have to learn how to stop and just say, I can't win because they've set the rules out that way.
Difficulties with event planning, and you know what, it's never going to be plain sailing, is it? But I'm glad you've managed to get the castle.
Well,
that is a great setting for any
beautiful setting.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, there's a big problem with the castle, which is you never really thought about it. Next time you got the castle, just span your arms out and think, what can you actually get in there that would be a stage size?
To the gates.
Yeah, the gates are I was just thinking, castle, we're gonna have massive gates and
that's the thing about castles. They were made to be difficult to get into.
Yeah,
that's the whole point of the castle.
So it's you can't even winch anything over, can you? It's just high walls, But I think they've had a few
lob it over.
Yeah.
Hire a strong man and but I mean they've had stuff in the past, I think last year or the year before, where someone had bashed into one of the walls. So they're really, really careful. You can't even you can't reverse on their grounds. You can only drive forward. So literally, imagine if you didn't get to the point where you wanted to drop your load off, right? And so you sort of going around this bit of green grass here, and then you're like, oh, we missed the turning. And then, right, go back around again. And then you have to keep going. Yeah, and then you have to build the whole site around. You have to build it around what would be the thing that goes in first and then last, and then how do you take it back out afterwards?
Wow, just the logistics of that one location is
nightmare.
A minefield.
Which is why I didn't want to go in there unless it was cheap to hire, because it's too much of a
lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. But it's worthwhile doing if it's right. And the key thing is that we want to make sure that we're not going to have a crush of people in town. If it got busy for some reason and people got angry because they couldn't get in places and you haven't got a pressure relief valve, then we'd be in trouble, wouldn't we? So that was my, that and the disability thing.
So what we can expect from you on the day is your head to explode, maybe. I mean...
Oh, no, it's all going to be planned. It's all, everything was planned really well last year, to be honest. It's just that, I guess this year, expanding the team means that you're putting trust in new people, but I don't think it's going to be that much of a problem because we've done it. We know where the problems are.
Of course, yeah.
We know that there's two different types of hi-hat clutch, and that it don't say bring your hi-hat clutch because it doesn't fit. Oh no, it's you need to actually have the either standardized hi-hat stands in every venue, or you have a spare set of clutches in both different types. It's silly things like that.
So drummers, don't worry, your hi-hats will be fine.
So a clutch is basically you have a thing that goes on that holds the hi-hat at different heights.
Right.
And because they've got two different bores, literally if it's the wrong one, it won't fit on it. Just flops up and down. So it's suddenly the band can't play. And you've got 40-minute windows. So it's 40-minute act. They're playing for 40 minutes. Then there's a 40-minute gap, and then on to the next one. So anything lost in time has to be made up in the turnaround.
Yeah.
Which is, it was quite difficult.
Let's talk about the acts then. What bands, off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head?
What can people look forward to seeing or hearing as far as acts are concerned? Because I bet there are people listening to this now thinking, well, what am I going to see or hear?
What kind of Shropshire bands would you think?
I'd expect Chase in August.
Yeah, they're playing, yeah.
They are?
Yep.
Oh, definitely.
I think they're going to be playing at the castle as well.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I love them. That's it. That's all I want to see.
Trademark Blood. He's going to be. He's playing.
What a guy he is.
Yeah,
I would recommend going and see him.
Yeah, he's
phenomenal.
Great. Yeah.
He's great live. You see a rapper and you think, oh, this is going to be awful.
Yeah, no,
he's not. He's fantastic. Honestly,
he's really good, and he's also got a harem of sorts. A crew.
There's Starboy Kenshi and there's Monroe that follow him about.
I don't know who these guys are. I do know who they are, but I kind of there's just loads of people who every time that he puts an event on this culturetainment thing in Albert Shed, it's just he's always got another 10 plus acts. It's wow, it's amazing that he's got them all doing stuff and actually happening, and pushing it, which is great. Grassroots, which is sort of atmospheric type music. Got Bad Fiancés, which is their debut, and also Boom Boom Boom, which is
I saw a poster for
Jemima, Jemima Gallagher. She's plays in a lot of different bands, but
I saw a poster for that out for Albert Shed. Boom Boom Boom.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's a good name.
It's great.
Yeah. And that's, and then, acoustic wise, we've got loads of different kind of stuff.
Is it Ruby? Is it Ruby?
Yeah, right, yeah.
Alan?
Yeah, and Nerdy, which is a new venue.
Oh, great. Shout out to Nerdy. Great guys.
Alan Jenkins, he's going to be performing at the Wheat Sheaf. Oh, we've got the Wheat Sheaf and Frankwell, so we've got some cool bands there.
Frankwell.
Yeah, we've got, trying to think of who.
Put him on the spot now.
In Good Hands, we've got Alex Davis playing at In Good Hands. Alex is great. He's like a one-man band playing like sort of reggae-fied covers, but, a really good spin.
What, Chase and Mallory, have you got them?
No, I've not. No, I need. The thing is, a lot of the acts who've played LOOPFEST this year are all acts who'd gone through the sheet. We have like a form online, and so I've basically like vetted that.
So
I haven't really.
Are you still looking for acts? Can they apply if they go to the website?
Probably next year. I think I've today, just before we left the house, I was like, "That's it, I've done it." Oh god, I mean, it's 125 acts.
That must feel good.
Yeah, well, it's just getting them online and like all of the listings. I've got one listing which is sort of the schedule, in a sort of schedule sort of type affair. They've got another one which is like written down in like in a far more organised manner about all the extra things that I need, like such as how many microphones I need, all this kind of jazz. And then there's another one which is putting them all online and then you check them, you're like, oh god, one of them's out, but which one's the wrong one? So then you're like, going back trying to find your old notes to make sure that you haven't, because that's ultimately the biggest faux pas of all, isn't it? Is that double booking on an event like that.
So this is taking all place in one night, 2 nights.
It's not even a night. It's 8 o'clock a night. I don't think it's a night. No, so basically it's from 12 o'clock midday, and then finishes at 8 o'clock at night.
And it's a multi-venue, multi-artist.
Oh, it's free event. Yeah,
Free event.
Free is the most important bit, I think. So, but yeah, and it's like we've got it wasn't that we ever trying, but I did notice it was a massive sausage fest like last year. Like kind of like it was like 20 women in the hall of all the bands that are playing. I was like, oh my god, it's like I didn't want it to be like that. It was never, but it is there's a weird ratio anyway, and it's annoying that we're in a world where it's not more balanced, but
that's crazy because the biggest band on the planet right now are Wet Leg, and I love them to bits. I love them I think they're so fantastic. So they are good.
Yeah.
They're fantastic.
But it's just that thing, isn't it? It's getting more people. This is why I want to build the whole LOOPFEST funds things, right? Because I think that we could help people like the Hive and do it in a different sort of manner, which would then mean we could go, let's get loads of people learning drums, right? So you have like kind of all the people, it doesn't matter who you are, just everyone learn drums. And eventually, some of them people will pick it up. And you might have singer-songwriters who maybe will just be like, they're just playing acoustic stuff and then not playing that many places because it's hard for singer-songwriters.
Have you spoke to Dan Owen?
Well, getting to hold of Dan Owen's like...
he's a big deal, isn't he?
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? So it's like... And ultimately, again... next year I can probably get grant funding from to be able to pay for like an act, but I don't want to be going asking cap in hand now. I think I'm in the position where I need to sort of build out.
Yeah.
And we're getting there. It's
I need
just
to get him on the show.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a great interview. Right, I'm looking at my phone. I did put a thing out today on social media. I wrote, I'd love to hear your thoughts on local music scene. What important things do local independent musicians bring to your town, city? What would you like to see more of locally? And what was the best, worst things about performing locally? Love to hear what you think. And so we had 2 great comments. One is James Warman, who takes a lot of photography. He's been on the Biscuit many times. He's followed me to events and he's done photography for us, and he's phenomenal. He's great with music. And he wrote quite a lengthy comment, James. But he put, when you think about it, we've got an impressive selection of venues hosting live music, covering a variety of tastes from Albert Shed, Frankville, St. Mary's Church, the Abbey, and all the bars and cafes that host live gigs and open events. And there's on top of the stuff going, and that's on top of stuff going on in the quarry. What would be good is if it was all pulled together on a single website or publication, so you could see who's playing and where. Stuff what's going on tends to be publicised on the big stuff. So you're kind of doing that, really. Well, kind of bringing so many acts together. They can go onto the Loop website and be like...
It's interesting that, because I did start building a database on the Albert Shed website, which is of all of the acts that played, actually making their own individual
Like a bio.
Yeah, and with that, I was trying to build in so they could put their records on there and sell the records via, and even like they stick in their gigs, because ultimately, you know, the Shed has always been the support of that. But
So you recreated MySpace, basically.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, it's kind of like, you know, if you think about it, there's no real history being collected of all the acts who just disappear, you know. But LOOPFEST is getting towards that. Yeah, I definitely think we want to be championing the stuff. One of the things I put in for my Arts Council grant is actually a lot of cameras and recording equipment, so then we can actually do full-on video recordings where
Internationally.
well, it's just building up like a portfolio. So I've been doing it with the Shed anyway, just been filming these acts, but I want to just build up every act that we've got. I want them to have like at least 2 live videos which show like their quality, and do it like sort of, you know, sofa sessions where you get a number of people in the room, but the focus is on actually the performance being recorded. Because then when it comes to them gigs, or, you know, helping them with a great bio, you know, building up like you know, the PR element, so we can help people when everyone says, Jamie, I've got this release, how do I get that release out to more people? And I'd be like, well, it's quite difficult unless you've got a PR agency, and unless you've got lots of acts working with you, you're not really making that conversation day on day, you know. And that's the key. That's the key thing, really. I think there's a job there for somebody within LOOPFEST that we could actually build that network and get, you know, a bit like the people. Yeah, I think there's a lot of great people out there who are working together.
I can think of a few people off the top of my head. I struggle with press releases because I get sent so many. I'm kind of like, well, if I do it for one person, I've got to do it for it. So I do them as they come, and if I can't, I can't. You know, it's one of those things, because the Shrewsbury Biscuit is all about what we're doing. You know, it's really difficult, but I do like to share what I can. I think I shared something from the food festival today. I think I shared something from I do little bits. Another comment here is from Mark Fielden. He says, absolutely love watching live music. From many times flying to Dublin to watch my mate Davey, and then travelling to Washington and Oslo with him to watch him play. Also love going to Bridgenorth to watch Cooper and Davis and Reemore, and of course Shrewsbury's Andy Mills and the fab event that is Chords Crush Cancer. Of course you would mention that, Mark. Your own event. Good lad. I love it. He is. Chords Crush Cancer was phenomenal, and again utilising local music to make a positive influence. And we got nothing on Instagram. Oh, that's great, isn't it? Got your heart on your sleeve. You ask people for their input, and they give you nothing. Well done, Mark and James. We love you guys. So, sell the event. If somebody's listening to this, what can they expect?
Oh, it's just lots of incredible live entertainment throughout the whole town, ranging from country and folk all the way through to electronica and rock, metal, across 25 diverse venues, mixing up spoken word, storytelling, art, and all sorts of different type of creativity that you know, and we haven't even started on what it could potentially be, because we've got people coming together as volunteers to build like crazy creatures that we're going to put around town, and we've got an AR app that's going to allow people to like walk around the town in like a... Did I tell you about that
yet? No. And what's the date of this? Sorry, Verity.
I was going to say, when is it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's on Saturday, the 8th of July, in Shrewsbury Town Centre. Get there early because the car parks will be full.
I've seen Chris Pritchard from Shropshire Live. You should invite him in for a chat. There he is, walking by. I love him. What a great guy he is. Make sure you guys read and listen to Shropshire Live. Can we get involved somehow, do you reckon? What do you reckon?
That'd be great. We'd love that. We're desperate for that. That was like what we said last year. It was like, oh, wouldn't it be great to do?
I think...
And I was so slow at like, you know, I'd like, so, oh, we should talk to them. And then Jules was like, have you started speaking? Let's try again. Have you started speaking to them yet? And I was like, yeah, I've just got this one other thing to do here, which is like kind of, you know, 'cause it's ADHD brain of like, you know, got to finish off. It would be great if you could do like, you know, like the town centre.
You say that how many venues?
There's 25.
Why don't we see? Oh my God, this is.
Oh, it's a marathon. We can supply drink. The bar.
Okay, this is where it gets interesting. We can do a little bit of recording, or a little bit of an interview, or anything at every single venue. And then I was going to say, get a drink from every single venue too. But then we'd be on our backside.
But you could get no alcohol drinks. That's one option. We've actually got, we were trying to make a brew of no salt brewery beer, which is
Okay.
like a LOOPFEST one.
So it's like a zero alcohol type thing.
Tasty, if they're good, they're good. It's just most of them are not very good.
What can we do with this event? I want to do something different, something cool, something fun. Me and Verity will have to get our heads together, I think, what we can do. 25 venues on one day with a podcast.
July.
In July. We got cameras we can bring. We can set up at every single venue and see if we can get a comment from every single person at the venue. I mean, that'd be easy to do, but I mean, like, I want to get something comprehensive.
We've got some camera people who will be working with us, so we could actually try.
Who are you working with?
We've got a whole team of people, including James Warman.
James Warman, great show. Great guy. It's good that you got him involved, because the way he captures music visually is actually really brilliant.
Oh yeah, it's great. We've used him in the past with the shed, and I think so we've got Katie Romney, the Canoe Pokey, yeah. So like Katie,
I was there yesterday.
Oh yeah,
It's real nice.
Yeah,
We've got to go there. We've got to go there
So
because
nice.
we've spoken to the owner. He's going to be on the show, and he's great because he served me at Hickory's, and he was like, I've got this idea for a restaurant, and then he started doing the thing from his house, then he turned it into a restaurant. This guy's fantastic, so we need to go.
Yeah, George is a good man. But yeah, so Katie's they're the business partners, her and George, and she's great. She's always been good at video stuff, so we got her, and then my partner Jules, she's going to be doing some interviews as well, so it'd be good to work out how we could collaborate on that.
Yeah, we got to get our heads together because I've got to represent Shrewsbury. This is a great event, and I feel like, with it being free and you're giving local grassroots bands the opportunity to go and entertain the town of Shrewsbury, we've got to get involved with this.
I think next year, like next year, we're looking to work with I think Chris Hawkins, BBC Radio 6 is an ambassador, so we're kind of we're trying to take that to the next level as well. It'd be great, wouldn't it?
That'd be wonderful. Guys, if you're listening to this and thinking, I really want to do that, tell us what that is, and we'd love to get out there and do it,
100%.
With some sort of challenge or some sort of mission for us.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, I've realised we've run right over. It's like a quarter past, an hour and 15 minutes, should I say, and I'm off to Liverpool tonight, so I've got to...
You've got a long drive ahead of you.
Yeah. Well, the wife has. I've had a beer. We're going to see Anfield tomorrow, which I'm not a Liverpool fan, but my boy likes just football in general, so we're going to go and spend a day in Liverpool.
Oh, nice.
Museums and stuff. Kids are off school, so might as well do it.
It's a half term.
No, it's May Day thing, isn't it?
PD Day.
PD Day tomorrow.
Is
and
that
then
right?
Bank holiday Monday.
Oh, it's an extra day off for the teachers.
Yeah. So, where can people find any information they need to find at LOOPFEST?
Oh yeah, they can visit loopfest.co.uk, which is has all of the information that you possibly would ever want for LOOPFEST based things. There's listings, there's connections to LOOPFEST's playlists on Spotify and YouTube playlists as well, so there's loads of stuff there, so you can find out and listen to the music as well as read about it.
Yeah, and make sure you listen to Chasing August as well, because I listen to their music genuinely. We interviewed them, and I was like, let's listen to these bozos then, and I threw them on, and they were phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
Great band, yeah.
Amongst many in Shropshire. Have you got any questions, Verity, before we get out of here?
No.
Any comments?
No, I'm very excited because last time LOOPFEST was on, I didn't really realise it was on. I just, my friend had come over from Australia, and a little bunch of us come into town, and we were like, whoa, what's happening? And we went to a few of the bars, and it was really exciting. I told Alex before that we were in here. It was busy, we left, but we left just as the band were taking their top off, and he said it was a sausage fest. It was quite a fit looking band. It was really disappointing that we had to leave, but I'm looking forward to happening again.
I love that. She told me that, and I was just like, that's so rude. I love that.
What time was that?
I can't remember what time it was.
He's like, was it me? Was it me taking my top off?
No, it's Alex, the keyboard player out of Smoke Like a Fish. We were one of the last bands playing, and he takes his top off, but he's one of them super hench chaps, I think
no, it would have been. I don't know what time was it. I don't know what time it was, but every single one of the band took their top off.
Did they?
And then we left. It was devastating.
To be continued. We will definitely be a part of this. Thank you so much for chatting to me today.
Oh, yeah, thank you very much.
And to Verity, of course.
Yeah.
And also, I've got to give a huge shout out to Albert & Co. Frankville for letting us come and record here. Great venue. And we will catch you guys next time. Peace out. Right, so there you go, guys. What a great episode that was. Thank you to Jamie, thank you to Verity, and thank you to the guys at Albert & Co, Frankwell there, for letting us come and sit and record a great podcast. It's been a few days since we recorded this, and in those days the sun has come out, hence you can hear lawnmowers, every single lawnmower on my street, and my fan going in the background. It's that hot. You just lose any sort of the precedence here is to sort of stay cool. But yeah, it's been a great weekend. We went to the county show as well at the West Mids Showground. We got some great audio from there. We just took a microphone, did our normal thing, and got some interviews. Now, I'm not from the rural or farming world, so to learn about that was really good. So you got that to look forward to next week. But yes, LOOPFEST sounds great. Me and Jamie, after this, we were chatting, and I think I'd love to get the Shrewsbury Biscuit involved. So the 8th of July, Saturday the 8th of July, I think the idea is we're possibly going to set up a studio in the castle grounds, which would be really cool, wouldn't it? So if you're going to LOOPFEST, look out for the Shrewsbury Biscuit. We will be there. And if you're not already going to LOOPFEST, after listening to this, you got to say, it sounds fantastic. So for all the information you need, go to loopfest.co.uk. I'm looking at it right now as we talk. It's a great looking website, very easy to navigate, and it's going to be a great event. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. If this is your first time listening to the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast, thank you so much for tuning in. But we could do with your support. Give us a follow. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, LinkedIn, and we are on TikTok too. And wherever your favorite social media is, give us a follow on that. My favorite is Instagram by far. I love it. It's so great. We got a great Instagram for something that's audio only primarily. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you guys next time. Peace out.